Lydia lunch?
My name is Exene Cervanka. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, sorry you didn't set it up for the disco in a few hours, but maybe a little brain food will do you good. One is ejected into this world like a dirty little mummy. The roads are all slippery with blood, but nobody seems to notice. I mean, everyone's so busy traveling at their own speed. I mean, we're all suffering, aren't we, from some kind of collective-induced fiction? We're all just bundles of conditioned reflex, victims of our own memories. I know that in my country, we're all suffering from some kind of psychosocial dwarfism. I don't get it. I mean, it is 1995, and it seems like no matter where I go, it feels more like the fucking Middle Ages. The lack of public housing, homelessness, poverty, urban decline, the bombing of abortion clinics, race baiting, inner city slavery, drug dealing, and of course, the plague, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with. You know, we live in a rotted wasteland full of delectable fruits, and this place is no different than any other fucking country on the planet. I mean, they're all laying testament to the fact that civilization is teetering on the brink of collapse. I mean, I kind of like the fact that disaster lurks behind every shadow, that no one can be trusted, that nothing is certain except the end, that the future is obvious. Obliteration. I mean, I don't know how long we have left. You know, I don't really even fucking care. You know, I don't know anything about the future. I mean, the only thing that has any impact left is the immediate. That's all that seems to matter.
And where I come from, everybody says the same thing. Save only me, cries everyone. And they hang there in the fruitless trees like glass bottles. Hey, is that one me? Is that me? No? Oh, okay. That's right. I don't get to die yet. I get to talk about aromatherapy in a toxic wasteland, and aerobic exercise in quicksand, and monofilament excrement called computers, and the data bank called the New Testament. But we do have, in our country, a Unabomber. But he can't save us from the Industrial Revolution and the Age of Information. Overthrow, undertow, all these words have been written on our hands from a really long time ago. It's just the assorted projections in our assaultive barriers. It's just the sound of angels flapping their long, black wings. It's my myopic necklace. It's my optic nerves. And my myopic necklace sees severed heads, and it sees crazy crosses, cross-pollinating, evil fundamentalist wind. A word to the wise, in case you haven't noticed, America's dream has always been just a filthy lie. The problem with America is we haven't learned one fucking thing from history because we don't have any of our own, except, of course, rape, control, command, takeover, might makes right, bigger is better, good cop, bad cop. We haven't learned a fucking thing from history. I mean, doesn't the past, after all, tell us everything? I mean, isn't it just a resurrection of emotions, like memory running backwards? I mean, that vault of eternity, it's forever steeped in that red pyramid of death. There's so many accumulated catastrophes, and they're all just billowing on forever and ever towards the edge of the earth. I know that this world is just the stopover before heaven or hell or another endless limbo. And I know we're all in it together, right? I mean, yeah, that's why we're here tonight. I mean, we're all stuck together. We're all stuck in this inquisitorial prison cell. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm always attracted to the novelty of the spectacle. I mean, I love the sound of the beast whose throat has been slit and the way that it breaks the silence. Yeah, we're all in it together. I mean, we're all just invalids of fucking duration. We're all crucified by our own desires. We're all fearful souls doomed to corrupted forms of wisdom.
And I go again, clutching my Bible of disillusion, you know, that catalog of affliction. And I don't know about any of you, but I'm always unable to say no to that imaginary demon that just might seduce.
It's amazing there's so much mass stupidity, since stupidity is always voluntary. Why does everyone volunteer to be stupid? Because they can be, because they do everything for us. We don't have to do anything for ourselves. Women, you know, is just a rib to tempt you. And your body is not a temple. And your muscles are too thin. The walls are too thin. You're not strong enough to protect you from yourself. Babes, out of the mouths of babes, come into the mouths of babes. There's one just out of reach. There's a babe just out of reach there on the cover of the swimsuit issue. Look at all that soft tan tissue. Don't you know he wishes you were her? Because he wants something a lot sexier, more voluptuous. Maybe he should take out one of those singles ads and he can put in that ad. Personality, a plus. Those guys, you know, they do everything for us. They're always thinking of us. That's why we have weddings and engagements and rings and lots of stuff to buy. And that's why we have home shopping on television and malls and malls and malls and home shopping malls and topaz tennis bracelets and ugly porcelain dolls. Do you think it's enough stuff? Do you think it's stuff enough yet? And now we have home Trinity ministry, but home shopping has replaced it. And now these people are getting something for their money. Taxes to taxes, dust to dust. Don't you know they do everything for us, from the clean pockets of the filthy rich to the hastily extended military runways of Mideast protectorates to the decisions that they're going to pull right out of your very own toes. You'll find out the enemies they've chosen for you soon enough. Life is cheap, or else you know it's going to cost way too much. They do everything for us, from the shiny handles of your favorite weapons to the plastic fast food fork, from the gas, juice, and milk transported so lovingly in those unwashed tanker trucks, to giving us a God whose money we can trust. They do everything for us. And buckets of blood, and buckets of blood, and buckets and buckets and buckets of blood. From the bottom of their hearts where the heavy metals settle, where the scavengers swim, where the dead and the dying drift, to the farthest corners of their walk-in closets, to your second-hand dress, to your wait a minute, here comes the bus, I can't be late for work. They do everything for us. So here we are, topless, shapeless, shameless, nameless. For sex, we get to die. For love, we get to lust, while the weather vanes of the famous still point only to their own famous sun-shining junk, and those corporate executives are always willing to teach you a lesson or two about broken mechanics and rust. We wait in our unseen certainty, certain that we must trust them because, hey, they do everything for us, don't they? I think we're all just consumed by junk culture. And every place has seemed to become a third world country. I know that the only minds which seduce me are the ones that have destroyed themselves trying to give their life some kind of meaning. I mean, I also realize that I'm just preaching to the wretched the charms of their distress, the void as Eucharist. I mean, all I'm trying to do is make sense out of this demonic rage which litters the playpen of my demented fantasies. But I'm not dreaming. Oh, it's all too fucking real. I mean, after all, life is a thief. It steals everything. I mean, creation is just a nightmare spectacle taking place on a hothouse planet that's been soaked with the blood of all of its creatures for hundreds and thousands of years now. Everywhere I go, it doesn't matter what city I'm in, it's all full of ambulatory schizophrenics. We're all just trying to diffuse our instinct to die, and some of us do that by trying to kill others. I know that when we go home tonight, we're all just going to
sit around in bed with either someone we can no longer stand the fucking sight of or by ourselves waiting for Mr. fucking Perfect to come along. And in the meantime, we're just going to turn our butchered sexuality into a rage which will destroy everything that it cannot create. Sometimes I get the feeling that we're all just stuck in Orwell's memory hole.
13 lesbian witches had 5 pit bulls and 1 2-year-old daughter that the judge took away and gave back to the father, fearing, of course, that dogs might tear apart and eat the child. And the court documents actually stated the following. Research also showed that Satan tries to reclaim the earth every 28th year, and that 1982 is the 28th year of the repeating cycle, and that Sunday, Halloween, is the date when Satan's powers are strongest. It will also be a full moon on Sunday. The Empire State Building is lit up like candy corn. I suppose parents here can warn their children against looking at it as it might be a lesbian. There's another story I saw in the paper which was very interesting. Poison at the football game. Luckily, the cheerleaders were the first to get sick. But, they found nothing in the cola. The poisoning then led to mass hysteria. Mass hysteria is the perfect crime. Just ask those 13 lesbian witches.
There's a few of them here tonight. I can smell them. If I seem obsessed with death, that's because that's the American way of life. To me, the evidence of death is before my eyes constantly. Sometimes I think it's just moving from me outward. It seems as if my death is always one step in advance. And maybe the world is just a mirror of me dying. I know that I'm going to be more alive, and my words are certainly going to be more alive 100 years from now, when people start to wake up and hear what I'm actually fucking saying, which is an actual recounting of modern history, than I am at this very moment. And I can wait, because it's not going to be that long. After all, they have sentenced the whole world to death, to poverty, to germ warfare, to ecological genocide, to ozone depletion, to nuclear pollution, fallout. Where the fuck are we supposed to find any kind of shelter in this killing zone called the 20th century? No, it's not going to be long. It's not going to be long before all my autoerotic fantasies of near catastrophic destruction are made just that much more real by a handful of egomaniacal phallocrats who've amassed enough money to peddle their fucking influence all over the bloody globe.
We're just would-be saviors. Right. It would take 1 billion saviors to save it. Because one would be killed by fundamentalists, and one would be killed by a corporate executive, and one would be killed by the police state, and the rest would be killed by the government, and that's all the very same thing after all. 1 billion saviors couldn't save this fucking planet. Only one can save it, and that one would be killed.
Well, there's been 1 million fucking saviors, or would-be saviors, or should I say madmen, maniacs, and would-be messiahs, who've been pillaging, who've been plundering, and have been raping the entire fucking planet for thousands of years now. There is a worldwide epidemic. It's not all in my mind. No. There is a schizophrenic pandemic of bloodthirsty, power-hungry, control freaks who run the entire planet under a rule of tyranny, terror, and trauma. Now, if you need numbers to try to understand what the fuck I'm talking about, listen. 250,000 battles since the Renaissance, all indicated human male propensity for barbarism, lawlessness, torture, pandemonium, chaos, all that good shit.
Well, it's just man's little downfall. It's so highly organized so we can all be very respectful of it. It's technology. Triple manufactured shotgun chocolate NAFTA dipped spear tips. I'm just an unwilling changeling. I won't listen to my Uncle Sam. I won't wave the red and white splattered sky above my head. But I know that the Colosseum and the cathedral long for the bloody sacrifice, not of strangers, but of neighbors. So I'm supposed to become the wealthy capitalist rock star warrior, expect to find myself sifted through with my bones rifled, just dust on the edge of a big pile of bodies. I guess they're waiting for my answer. I know they're waiting for your answer. Their breath is bathed with millions and millions of quorum moments and hours of towers and scraps of little payment and black gems and distribution of derangement in a forum of assets, all so that they can then double-cross you and take you to the cleaners. They've won us like a Thanksgiving turkey and the food things. We really are just managed livestock now. Everything has been diced into honorable chunks. It's just man's little downfall, highly organized.
And speaking of man's little downfall, I think that Mother Nature is getting pretty pissed off. Earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, typhoons, mudslides, forest fires, famine, drought, cancer, cholera, tuberculosis, AIDS. Mother Nature is becoming more violent against the men who have been causing her violence. Maybe she's trying to tell us something. Like you reap what you fucking sow. Like you get what you fucking deserve. It seems to me as if the earth is mounting a defense mechanism against humans. We live in evolutionary competition with microbes, and no matter where you go, you're going to be surrounded by a cesspool of contamination. I blew my nose in London. I thought fucking architecture was going to fall out of my head. We're all full of man-made carcinogens. We're not killing you from the outside in. We're defenseless. Yeah, we're basically fucking defenseless. How the fuck are you supposed to defend yourself against an invisible army of attacking microbiotic, flesh-eating bacteria, which has cheap Latin names, which gets spat forth from blood-stained lips and conveniently turned into alphabetical codes like TB and HIV and STDs and MS and MD and ADD and diabetes and fucking AIDS.
Evacuate the masses, reprisals start this Christmas. Dark East mystery, white race conspiracy. Look what the media hatches with their gasoline and matches. It's just a very servile, penile time of tabloid bloody paper and money-sucking mosquitoes and bankrupt tax tornadoes. Sad, big-eyed beggars become mean little gangsters. Evacuate the refugees. Give the real aliens all the keys. We're separated by our class, by our choice, by our lack of choice, by our vice. Evacuate the wealthy first, of course, and quarantine the healthy, the old sick gray ones, and the young sick gay ones, especially those. Evacuate the valleys. Don't wrong turn down gangland alleys. There's baggy brown ones look and blue black gun ones look. We better evacuate the high school. We better shut down county hospital. Look at the little measly, meaningless boy with his little measly McDonald's toys. Evacuate the headlines, riot past the bread lines, chase my headlights. I'm not going to hang around and fight. Vacuum all the victims in my head, burn all billboards of the dead, erase all newsprint of the dead, kill all living in the dead. I'm living with the dead. Isn't that nice? I'm living with the dead.
To me, the mindless vandalism, which is wreaked by humans, is now on the scale of a planetary cancer. Once we've wiped out every other form of life and made extinct every other animal and every plant and fauna and flora, no problem. We'll be able to console ourselves. with the millions of mites on each one of our eyelashes and the E. coli in our guts. We harbor a global lie, and we call it survival. You know, no city today is anything but a brute negative energy flow, which has us all fighting for a piece of turf. We're all fighting for some piece of mind, of space, of time, somewhere between infinity and nothingness. Oh, and I know I'm so fucking negative. And I mean, after all, shouldn't I be the one who's expected to find some kind of false radiance in the arms of Armageddon? Some impossible flirtation from the depths of melancholy? Aren't I the one who's expected to embrace a nihilism tinged with sensuality? Oh, I do.
Yeah, but 4,000 years ago in the Stone Age, in the old days, in the days before this kind of madness, what was known was greater than what was not known. And then it would get published once in a while, eventually, like the Book of Thunder, which is in shreds and it's ignored. Jesus is the ultimate souvenir, just like Elvis. He knew his betrayers would be his followers, and they really multiplied. But now we can console ourselves with the Mother Goddess, who seems to have come back, the most unpopular woman of all time. And now she has managed to come back. She can be dismissed as a New Age, menopausal cliche, and besides, she's still only a witch. And she has no descendants. Most like to worship human males with exclusive access to a lonely bachelor god. But no one's gods or goddesses ever answer because no one is there. But even so, they are the key to everything because everything's locked. And they've locked the elements together. They've combined yin and yang into a shade called powerless gray. And the sky is white. And the stars are dark. And the space shuttle feeds on ozone. And the aliens won't stay or show themselves. And the moon is meaningless. And we've made the sun into our enemy. The planet itself is just like a blighted potato smoldering on a propane barbecue, or it's a forgotten dog-jawed green, filthy tennis ball lying in the gutter, or it's just a Halloween caramel apple covered with ants and dished by a very small Frankenstein. But it's all great because it's all been brought to you by our sponsors, the really smart men. You know, if only it was them, all by themselves, being toward the end. But no. We all have to go down with the ship, I'm afraid. They're reversed, steering their printed verse coal cars backwards with the Industrial Revolution stinking out of their fucking tailpipe. You know that all roads lead to the information highway where every soul lives in the town of demise. And it's all just for entertainment and amusement and luxury and, of course, most importantly, for our containment. It's all been divided and conquered just like us, but you know, I keep holding out hope that someday everyone will realize that though we may not have the same God or the same goddess or whatever it is, we do all have the same enemy. You know, the Mayan calendar has predicted so many events accurately, like solar eclipses and cataclysms and things like that, and now it has the date of the end of the world coming up in about 20 years.
17 to be precise.
17 years. And it's never wrong. So it's too bad because this used to be such a nice little planet in the old days before madness.
And of course it's obvious that we're both just trying to recover from post-traumatic stress syndrome. I mean, I'm very fucking plagued by somnambulism, night terrors, daydreams, mood swings. I mean, I am very sensitive. As a matter of fact, I'm extremely over-fucking sensitive, made more so by the brutality which surrounds my day-to-day. You know, if I seem as if I'm kind of hysterical, well, when you couple that with obsessive-compulsive behavior, it really does start to blur the line between irresistible impulse and psychotic reaction. I basically, to calm myself down, I'm just attempting to find in motion everything that's been lost in space through time. If I appear drunk, I can assure you it's with pain, like some kind of demented tormentrix. And to take a break from all the reality overdose, and maybe it's just that I'm trying desperately to arouse that morbid lust, and I can't really help it if I appear to be oozing with a carnal sexuality, awaiting that one sexual cosmic act which is going to violate existence itself in some kind of monstrous and perverse manner. I mean, after all, women, aren't we all just waiting for that culmination? That supreme moment of ecstasy where you're no longer suspended above that sinister abyss of insatiability. I mean, aren't you just waiting to have every single one of your senses plunged into a diabolical state of anarchy? I mean, aren't you just waiting for that day when every single solicitation of the flesh can be met equally with that undying hunger? By that hungry mouth, that wise wound, that red eye, that greedy bitch we're bred to fucking bleed. And I've stopped feeding. I've stopped feeding on the rotting hulks of festering carcasses.
And so now the paranoia starts, glowing like science fiction, because after all the world's behind it. Myth, the so-called past, trauma through the ages, the present, the future. Now the fear of the tombstone starts, and the sky really is crawling towards us on its hands and knees, screaming, "Why?" Well, at least inside my house is what she thinks. She thinks and she thinks and she thinks over and over, and she says, "Get me out of this unholy tavern before my belly rises out of my body, dragging me through the ceiling by my intestines, through the roof and into this gray sky, because the stars moved out. Haven't seen those folks around here in light years. One of the best things we had going for us was darkness, and now we managed to fuck that up, and it's gone. And now the sky calls, pants, it exhales all our breaths. On the mountain sometimes the sky is still black, or ghostly foggy white. That's because it reflects our patterns, our batterings, our prejudices, our contempt really for all life. Insomniac sky, worn out rag of wiped off fevers, over. It's the sky that I need to lay back on. It's the earth that I need to look up at as it bounces gently on the austral breeze. It's the sky that I need to lean on. And how much longer can I stand this fucking parking lot waiting for the end, or maybe the beginning? And how many times is that fat jackass going to slowly circle this parking lot? I know I'm drunk, but I told him I was fine to drive. I know he's just waiting for me to pass out in my car and not drive home. That fucking jerk, that asshole, that sleazy, ugly, testosterone-faced fuck. You can't even spend one glorious moment of solitude thinking up at the stars, looking for aliens before some asshole ruins it. She thinks again and again and again.
Well, the scene of the crime could be anywhere, at any time. And I'm always salivating with preconceptions, trying to understand the maniac responsible. I figure shit, a sharp stick in the eye is going to kill the devil in the soul every time, so I guess I feel pretty safe. And after all, I only hurt myself, so far. I continue to lacerate myself with memories and the fantastic babbling of demented visions like some woe-begotten messenger of the Lord. Yeah, the scene of crime could be anywhere at any time. And where I come from, you kind of get used to the way those hollow screams echo out through those deserted parking lots. That paper oasis littered with lottery dreams. We spend a lot of time in motels and hotels, and we pull up and it's those neon lights flashing. Vacancy.
Sing
Free radiation. We got a vibrating lullaby.
free death.
I mean, after all, everyone's invited to the Hangover Hotel. I mean, we're all just living hand to mouth. Everyone's trying to fucking get ahead. I mean, shit, you take a walk to the corner store, carton of cigarettes, 12-pack of Bud, few condoms, bottle of aspirins. It's going to bring you down pretty hard by about $40 fucking dollars, and all you're going to be left with is your dreams. And you'll be dreaming them on drums. And then you're going to start thinking. And you're going to start recollecting all those dirt cheap deeds sloppily executed on sheetless mattresses. You're going to start remembering all those petty crimes of passion. How you like to bring those secrets to the surface with blood and with alcohol. I mean, we're all just trying to fucking escape the saturation of childhood pain, but baby, you can't do that by sucking milk from a dirty titty. We're all just practicing intellectual gyrations into the void. And I can't help it if I sound as if I'm bellowing like a castrated steer. Maybe I'm just suffering from a frustrated sexual appetite. I can't fucking figure it out.
That's why we both have crop circles under our eyes. Because this morning in the bath, I scratched the inside of my thigh and it felt, maybe I've been hanging around with Lydia too long, but it felt like rotten flesh. I thought my fingers might go right through my skin to the bone where it's been shaved dry. Okay, send back the sky. It's too blue. Besides, I ordered black. Didn't you? Didn't you? I think it's time for a pagan house fire. I think it's time to make it 0 AD, 0 BC. Listen. Not to me. Do you hear that sound? It's that government shrinking like a banshee with glee. That's why I can't sleep. Because my soul is after something wiser than the truth. Truth is stupid. Truth is what makes the world burn and bleed from the eyes and the ears. In fact, every orifice is in tears. And there's too many others in the fire these days hissing that theme song from the Valley of the Dogs. Hey, we get to watch another generation, probably some of you, take up the torch and the cotton and the needle. Woe to you if you're so fucking vanquished.
Maybe Exene, you like me are just trying to avoid becoming a victim of your own prophecy. And I know that I'm overloaded with the aren't we all usual preoccupation of dying and trying to stay alive. And I mean, after all, maybe I could just blame it on all the fucking books I read. You read them too, you know. The Woman Destroyed, Tropic of Cancer, Funeral Rites, Horde of Saints, No Exit, Death Watch, The Delicate Prey, Lady in a Cage. I'm just looking for another Jesus come fucking lately. Like that's gonna help. I mean, after all, a curse on Eve
Was Adam.
I mean, I know that the urge to attack and is just merely the desire to free oneself from infatuation. I also understand that there's a very thin line between a love tap and murder with a blunt instrument. You know, I understand violence. I'm surrounded by it every fucking day. I can't escape it. It's the place that I live. It's the place that I inhabit. It's that my eyes are fucking open. But the one thing about violence is that it's just the repercussion, the fracture of past traumas. It's about repressed memories. It's about secret signs and symbols which are impossible to decode. I'm just digging desperately. I'm constantly digging desperately through sandstone, searching for some hidden gem, some kind of hidden gem on whose underbelly the decoder just may lie. I mean, what we do is we simply piece together fragments of our life in an attempt to make ourselves whole. I'm always looking for the answers. I don't have the fucking answers. You didn't come here tonight looking for the fucking answers. I've got every fucking question. I know that the answer might not exist. I know that I may never fucking know.
No one fucking knows, but you try to save people anyways. But you can't save anybody. You can't even save that beautiful 22-year-old girl with the stupid fucked up boyfriend. She looks like Wednesday Addams. She's so beautiful. She's like an Edward Gorey illustration, but you can't save her. Even in her scratchy red panties, because she's stumbling towards gray headlights, exchanging one handful for another, and then her waistline lies crying on the second floor where the beans are always spilled night after night. She's eating only red rope licorice with long red fingernails in an attempt to maintain her treasured weightlessness, and she's very close to becoming just an object in the mirror, girl. I look inside her cheap lace underwear for her soul, but I find it is already gone. She's just a wrongful death preceded by a wrongful life, and she's carved a symbol of Venus in the belly of her forearm, which is so soft, so white, so young, and so red. But there she is, shot dead by someone else's evil truth. I hope her soul is still in hiding.
Shit, honey, she can't shake the corner. Maybe she's just smoldering. And maybe some of you smolder like I smolder, in this flesh and bone casket. Maybe you too suffer from palpitations, shattered nerves, migraines, spasms, ulcers. No tumors yet, but I'm just a walking fucking time bomb. I hate the way that gravity starts to gnaw. Just somebody point me in the right direction, tell me which way is upright. I wake up every day and it starts to get a little bit nauseous. You feel every day as if you're the organist of an arrested tempest. And even I can't help but fucking laugh. Waiting, pacified, between the next two torments. I feel as if night after night I'm just stuck in another endless fucking conversation trying to dissect the indecipherable. I'm just trying to find a new way to speak in tongues. It's all about the same thing. It's the same fucking story. It's the original fucking story. Fallibility of the body, weakness of the mind, pollution of the soul. It's the same story.
Maybe it's just because I live in Los Angeles, because it's a refugee camp at this point for about 15 million people. But I get the impression sometimes that it's just a big slave labor camp. Now, I hate to exaggerate, but the world does seem to be becoming a slave labor camp. Oh no, I think it is. Anyway, I think it's like a time clock pathé march through the carpal tunnels of Gold Watch railroads. Good morning payloads cross picket lines of Mexican grapes peeing Thunderbird wine, and the fatal hour strikes the Union sackcloth-fired wetbacks who climb fences instead of ladders. It's a new republic, sinks full of dishes, where Labor Day forestalls the backhand loss of that bending seamstress, and that wonderful 60 cents an hour paying designer Liz Claiborne hires Guatemalan misses that wear rags size 3. Unfixed engine smoke and sewer pipes back into NAFTA Tijuana kitchens so they can breathe bad luck maquiladora fumes. And we're making affirmative inactive. It's just a day at the races for our Congress, who are only actors on welfare. Prophets roll over and beg for the bones of artificial sacrificial bulls inseminated at Dow Jones factories all over the world. But all's well, all's well, all's well on the home front, because we've got lots of black unemployment, no redevelopment. That became this kind of like melted ice cream. Melted in 1980 when first those evil senile bricks were hurled from those White House windows, and now we get to build new prisons with them. It's a horror makeover of our schools, final amen. It's just a time trap developed for dropout teens. You as computer television screens scream, build it, sell it, buy it, then most importantly, everyone steal it so we can build it, buy it, and sell it again. Pull, slavers, pull. Dig, farmers, grow. Sit, desk workers, stare. Assemble, assembly line, more. Self-go the jobs, self-go the wages. Hand them out in our brand new cages. The worker clips coupons and saves. Loose capital sinks the ships of captains of industry. They square off against oceans so that island countries can take a dive. Hollywood Koreans work 20-hour liquor store shifts with baseball bats under the counter in case of the inevitable holdup. Manhandled frozen dinner women work side by side spinning gravy, unthanked at our Thanksgiving trash holiday. Natives who never saw it coming now don't get to work on reservations in houses made of bingo cards. I saw a rabbit on the dirt floor of a bar in the South Dakota Badlands. It was May Day, not the Christmas trash holiday. Layaway, molasses, Visa, and MasterCards are stuck to snow tires, slowly revolving, going nowhere but credit ratings forever. The robin sings, but spring is for the early bird on overtime, chasing cartoon worms that are nailed to the ground.
Now, I've only been in Scotland for 2 days, so I can't sum up the situation here. Seems like a fine place to visit. It's wonderful. It's much better than England. And I can't speak about England because I don't give a shit about England, but in America, it really fucking starts to tick me off, and it seems to be a trend, especially amongst my contemporaries. I am sick to death of pseudo-alternative lifestylers who get pierced and tattooed for beautifully round little belly, from shitting out that watermelon. I mean, that vanity item. I mean, somebody that I can love the way that I was never loved. I mean, somebody who can take care of me in my old age. I mean, somebody that I can give everything I never had to. I mean, somebody who, after you've finished spending approximately $800,000 just to feed, clothe, educate, and house the little shit, is probably going to grow up to hate your fucking guts anyway. Because most of you probably still hate your fucking parents, living or dead. Both of mine are dead, and I still haven't buried the fucking grudge. Because after all, they're the ones that brought me into this fucking endless holocaust of human misery. And the next war in my country, it's not going to be a civil war. It's not going to be a sexual revolution. That didn't work the first fucking time around. It's not going to be a class war. It's going to be a generational war. It's going to be all the babies having babies who are going to grow up in an environment so overrun with violence and prejudice and hatred and war that war is just going to be second nature. That killing is going to be done out of convenience or boredom, and that family values, as practiced by the Menendez brothers or Rosemary West, is what's going to come down on the dinner table when there isn't enough food to feed the hungry little leeches who should have never been born in the first fucking place. And that's why I still say mandatory abortion and mass sterilization, especially for men, it's not that painful, has got to become our #1 priority.
I think the hole in the ozone is going to take care of mass sterilization. And we'll all have cataracts. We won't be able to see each other.
And I love the fact that the sperm count is dropping. But I'd still like to auction my eggs. Put your bid in after the show.
You know, in Venice, California, I saw these big guys walking down the street, 6 of them, and they all had on the same shirt. It was a black shirt with big white letters, and it said, "Shut up, stupid bitch." And you know, they're right. Shut up, stupid bitch. You prostitute, you scapegoat, you original sinner. There we are, chased by the hissings and whipped up wishes of their man-made weather. We get soaked to the skin by their tongues, imagining, you know, that thing that they do. So we run from doorway to doorway just in time to ditch every obscene tornado, and I wish I had a psychic umbrella, but that is just a walk to the corner store. But it is a male-defined world, and it is our need, somehow, for their approval. It's our removal to the mall so that we can shop while they do their business of blowing up the world. Why? Because they figured it out. The world is female, like a blow-up doll, kind of. And the ladies' room is just a screaming hall of mirrors that makes us feel deformed and badly compared because there's that something inside we're not allowed to see. We're only supposed to think that we're just tits and ass.
Lips,
Tits and ass.
hips, tits, power. I'll accept that.
All right. Well, you know, it's like if mother's milk was just cheap whiskey or something. You know, as if we haven't fed you enough or something.
I don't think so.
But, you know why the devil has horns? I know there's a witch out there somewhere who knows, but it's because the crescent moon and horned animals are the symbols of women's religion. So of course they gave it to the devil because the devil is nature and nature's the world and we're nature and we're the world. So when the world dies, the killers can just say what they always say. Hey, fucking bitch asked for it.
You know, we have really no problems with individual men. I mean, basically, they're so fucking harmless when you got them one-on-one. Well, what is there to really be frightened of? Nothing. It's men in positions of power, and basically, that's, when you consider that 1% of the population controls 80% of the money, and that 1% is probably mostly men, and men run all the corporations, and the corporations are what's fucking the entire fucking planet, then you wonder why we have a problem with men? I don't have a problem with any man, unless they want to fuck with me. And I could beat the shit out of them, but that's neither here nor there.
Now, anyway.
See, I don't know, maybe you think that we're a little bit paranoid. I don't think we're paranoid, but if we were, we have every fucking reason to be paranoid. I mean, after all, the government monitors my every fucking movement. I mean, they already know my phone number, my address, my bank account, my social security number, which credit cards I own, how much I owe on them, where I live, where I work, where I play. You know, in upstate New York, they're working on this computer chip, which they want to implant in everyone's wrist. You know, I mean, just to make banking easier. They're also working on bank card machines, which we all fucking use out of convenience, where they want to be able to just read your iris, which is more definite than a fingerprint. Now, I don't know about here, but I know in London, like at King's Cross, they already have set up spy cameras at a lot of the intersections. But of course, being an American, we always like to do that one better. I mean, not only do we have spy cameras, we have speed traps and wiretaps and satellite sends into outer space, which not only beam 432 channels into your fucking living room, but are also able to monitor population density, pollution intensity, weather patterns, read your fucking license plate, and all the while doing it with electromagnetic force fields full of radiation, which causes cancer. And you know that I'm only scraping the fucking surface because I don't have all night here, I just got a few more minutes.
And they got to watch O.J. Simpson kill his wife from their little satellite cameras. But anyway, that's a whole other subject which we're sick of. It's kind of like the Western Acme, the apex of our civilization. Scrambled and centipede youth tricks, totem poles without faces, our children stretch their legs. There are many races, gang, frat, deb, grunge, hustler, neo-hippie, neo-bohemian, white supreme, super black, Nike, tribal, rainforest brown, crumbling red clay, imprisoned yellow. Yeah, so our children have been raised. But those little green men, now those are real. And so is the devil, and witchcraft works. And myths are still the inner universe explained or complained. And leprechauns can still fuck you up because they stick long needles into your belly button, just like modern day aliens. And UFOs and the Blessed Virgin Mary are the same phenomenon. And those poltergeists, they just love teenagers because that's when teenagers become psychic paraplegics. That's when their magic gets strangled because they don't have a rite of passage anymore, so they never grow up. We give them dumbbells and MTVers are the same thing, and ropes and gyms and sports, but we give them no strength and vision. Then we give them tons of symbols that have absolutely no meaning. So of course they turn to conformity in non-conformity and mass, and of course heroin, alcohol, crack, cigarettes, beer, acid. Why not? They grow bent this way, wholly involved in consumerism, violent imagery, overstimulation, followed up by massive amounts of sedation. They're good children, and they're doing exactly as they've been told.
Well, it's all about recognizing the enemy.
Who is the fucking enemy?
Whoever the hell
What time
is
is it?
supposed to be this fucking week. I mean, the goal of the enemy is always the fucking same. It doesn't matter who they are. The goal of the enemy is to confuse, is to corrupt, and to rearrange your priorities to suit their needs. In other words, we're all guilty of it. Eat, shit, work, sleep. You can't fucking avoid it. But they allow our lives to be supplemented by the distractionary devices which they've allowed to be created in order to control you, to control your time, to control your mind, but ultimately to control your fucking money. Because whether you want to admit it or not, we're all capitalist consumers. I mean, where would we be without our cars or our guitars or our TVs or our VCRs or our fax machines? And they're all transmitting telepathically hyper high frequency signatures set up to brainwash and drain you of your natural resources. I think it's time to fucking wake up. Because to me it's electricity which is destroying our defense mechanisms. Cancer, ulcers, tumors, migraines, the proliferation of stress-related diseases in industrialized nations. It's a direct result of our addiction to audio, visual, sugar titty, and the evil energy which powers such devices. Now, the dumbing of America is no mystery to me at all. Now, when it's estimated that school-age children spend an average of 28 hours in front of the fucking boob tube every week, that is when they're not in front of the video screen playing Nintendo or Mortal Kombat or any other number of brain-dulling video games whose only goal is to kill the opponent, win at any cost, and graduate on to the next level, which has already been set up for you, of course, to spend another $10 or $20 and countless fucking hours, all of which could have been better well spent. And the problem I have with video games and the internet and all of that fucking bullshit is that to me it appears as if it's a conspiracy. Yeah. It is a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy of corporate giants who just want to breed greedy little bastards hooked on immediate self-satisfaction that doesn't require anything but well-toned motor functions.
So that they can learn how to drive the bombers. I mean, it makes sense. The information highway solves none of your problems. All of our problems are spiritual. They're not mechanical. They're not technological. They're not logical at all. If they were mechanical or technological, then we would have solved them a long time ago. And anyway, we don't need all these vehicles to no place. We've already got plenty of those. We're born with everything we know. The social register, the cash register, all that, that's not a part of us, but Nightfall still is. And the stealth bomber and the Pentagon, that's not a part of us, but the full moon still is. But only now the moon's not full anymore. Have you noticed that it's empty? I like to sit in the museum and look at those tall African wood carvings or stare at that Neolithic goddess statue. They have in the Metropolitan Museum in New York, the one that's behind glass with all the little meters and all the little protection devices. No one can steal it or touch it. Then I realized, you know what, they've got all our stuff locked up in museums. That's what they're doing. They will let out about 2% of the time for us to look at. And then they tell us that our museums are full of meaning. But they're never ever going to tell you that museums are full of power because it's your power. And they don't want you to get your hands on it. We're already born with everything we need to know. If we could just get our fucking hands on it so you can keep all your computers. I just want my statues back now.
I mean, the last thing I want is the ability to access 5 million other Slack hackers who have nothing better to do than sit around plugged into the internet, hoping that they're going to crash somewhere in a virtual non-reality where instead all they ever fucking get is technological gossip mongering about Courtney Love and whatever fucking drug she's on.
Gender is just the soul's pajamas. Everyone is female. Everyone has a red lace interior. Everyone is male, a prefix meaning evil. Everyone has been stripped, and not just the guys of the Nation of Islam, and not just some Irish guy, and not just some girl. Everyone's been stripped of their customs, their religions, and their history. Everyone is a refugee from the past, and everyone is owed the same apology, and I'm very sorry. I'm going to watch for asteroids and comets. I'm going to wait for high strangeness. I'm going to sink in red, yellow, green quicksand. Red, yellow, green quicksand. I live on alien real estate. I'm looking for the crown in the trunk of Columbus's car, and I know that it's amazing what passes for real, like Happy Meals. And is it true what Morticia Adams said? Happy children are just unhappy children that are having fun? I think so. When the police helicopter comes over my house and shakes the bedroom walls and blurs the lines of my lullabies, then the air is bloody with the blues in the night. Sometimes the ground does rush up to meet you, and sometimes slouching has nothing to do with Bethlehem at all. It has to do with mayhem and car alarms and sirens and morals and everybody else's virtues all going off at the same time. And you try to run, but you can never run as fast as the world turns around because that sun's going to steer you down. And you can never shut Gabriel up once he starts blowing his horn. He's been blowing it for 2,000 years. Talk about jazz. What about weather and riots and slashed throats and hunks of flesh and the planet Mercury? Angel, angel, I'm ready. Please come down. Kingdom come already. Fucking kingdom come.
You know, just in summary, because we are on a deadline here, of course, they've got to start the disco. I thought that was over in 74. Oh, it's tapped out, excuse me. Yeah, big fucking difference. I mean, you gotta expect casualties when you live in a war zone. You know, I can't even stand to call up anybody that lives in New York, which I left 6 years ago, in San Francisco, which I left 6 months ago, in Los Angeles, which I left 8 years ago, in London, which I left 10 years ago, in Detroit, which I'll never fucking live in Berlin, which I can't fucking stand. I can't stand to fucking call anybody up because every time I do, it's the same fucking story. All I get to hear about is the mortality rate.
The fertility rate.
About who's dead and dying.
Who's getting married.
About who's in a coma. Who got hit by a car. Who got stabbed, shot, attacked, robbed, raped, beaten senseless, broken into, broken up with, ripped off, evicted, arrested, infected, subjected to sexual harassment. And I tell them all the same fucking thing. Don't complain to me. My job is to complain, get your own fucking gig. Because you know I'm just going to turn it into one of my cheap little fucking stories anyway, so don't complain to me. And besides, why don't you just fucking deal with it? Why don't you just fucking get used to it? I mean, after all, it is 1995. And that puts us that much closer to the coming apocalypse. And what you gotta understand is that the apocalypse isn't going to be an instantaneous explosion of brimstone and hellfire. No. It's going to be what we got going here now. It's going to be long, slow drop. It's going to be gradual decline, slow rot, urban decay, environmental terrorism, worldwide war, religious fanaticism, corporate takeover. Hey, rejoice already, the fucking apocalypse is here, and it is being televised. Every time you turn on the evening news or you pick up a fucking paper, it's all there in red, white, and black. Red, white, and black, so you just better get fucking used to it. You just better figure out how you're going to acclimate to another season spent in hell. Because hell is already of this world. Hell is other people. Hell is where the heart lies crushed and broken about everything that you're fucking powerless against, about everything that you can't fucking control. Hey, I can barely control my fucking self, so don't expect me to have the ability to try to make anything any fucking better, but to only tell it like it fucking is, because that's what I'm fucking paid to do. And after all, I mean, in our closing statement, we'll say, we are in this world, but we are not of it. Thank you very much. Have a nice life.
Thank you for listening.